Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Lumosity.
Today on Variant, it's Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 2099. Welcome to Variant, where we love comics more than that feeling when you have just enough milk left to give you one last bowl of cereal. I'm your host, Arris. So, one of the most common matchups I hear people talking about or I've seen is Spider-Man versus Batman. So that got me thinking, what matchup can I do that would be just as cool or even cooler? Which brings us to today's episode, Batman Beyond versus Spider-Man 2099, which is just as cool or even cooler as the traditional Batman and Spider-Man fighting each other, since both Batman Beyond and Spider-Man 2099 are based in the future. So let's see how their future counterparts stack up with one another. The most important part about deciding who would win in a fight is knowing a little bit about the fighters, like where they came from, what are their strengths, their weaknesses, and so on. So that's exactly what I'm going to be telling you guys, starting with a little bit of their history. Batman Beyond was created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, who are two of the main people responsible for the DC animated universe and why it was so awesome. Batman Beyond was first created as a cartoon series after the iconic Batman the Animated Series came to an end. Batman Beyond became so popular he eventually made his way to the comics, getting several different comic series over the years, becoming a main character in the DC universe, much like Harley Quinn, as she was originally introduced in Batman the Animated Series, but became so popular amongst fans, she made her way into DC Comics' main comic continuity. As for Batman Beyond's origin, it goes a little something like this. Many years in the future, Batman had disappeared from the streets of Gotham due to him retiring after being forced to use a gun as a threat to win a fight, as he's not in top physical shape anymore since he's gotten much older. We are then introduced to a kid in the same timeline called Terry Mcginnis. He was born in Gotham City on August 18th, 2023, to Warren and Mary Mcginnis, a research scientist at Wayne Powers. Terry was once a bad kid being a member of a street gang. Terry one day finds himself on the run from another gang, the Jokers, a street gang modeling themselves after the deceased clown prince of crime. Finding himself cornered on the grounds of Wayne Manor, to his surprise, an old decrepit Bruce Wayne comes to his aid, and together they defeat and chase off the gang. The strain of the fight places substantial stress on Bruce's already weak heart, and he nearly collapses. After helping Bruce make his way back to the mansion, Terry gets his medication, although with the strain from the fight having exhausted him, Bruce falls asleep immediately. On the way out, Terry notices a bat stuck inside a grandfather clock. Trying to free the creature, Terry stumbles upon the secret entrance to the Batcave. Entering the Batcave, Terry realizes who the old man actually is, but his discovery is interrupted by a now awakened Bruce, who abruptly chases Terry out with his cane. Terry then returns home, where he finds out by his mother that his father has been killed by the Joker's gang as revenge for their humiliation earlier that day. Terry then finds a disc his dad has hidden in a picture of the two of them and brings it to Bruce to help him find out what it is. They find out that the data disc contains information on a biological weapon being made at Wayne Powers, and raises the question as to whether or not his dad was killed by the Jokers. Bruce tells him to go to the cops since he's not Batman anymore. Terry doesn't, and instead steals the newest Batsuit and subsequently saves the day, so to speak, from Derek Powers and his biological weapon. Bruce then realizes there's still a need for a Batman in Gotham, and bam, makes Terry Mcginnis the new Batman. As for Spider-Man 2099's origin, he's from Earth 928 in the year 2099. Miguel O'Hara worked as the head of the genetics department for Alchemax Corporation, specializing in genetic coding and splicing. He's toyed with the idea of recreating the powers of the original Spider-Man from years ago. Miguel's boss, Tyler Stone, secretly got him addicted to the drug called Rapture. It's a highly addictive drug that can't be worked out of the body. It was Stone's way of controlling his employees by offering them the expensive drug in return for their loyalty, which I feel like most bosses are one step away from getting you addicted to drugs in order to do their bidding. It's kind of sad. Miguel did decide to try to genetically cure himself by rewriting his genetic code from a sample he had taken previously. He was being watched by a competitive co-worker, Aaron Delgado, who attempted to sabotage his experiment by adding a random code in the process. The results cured Miguel and also gave him spider-like powers. Aaron tried to shoot him but fell from the Alchemax building despite Miguel trying to save him. Soon that bastard Tyler Stone sent out a cyborg bounty hunter named Venture to capture him. Miguel fled to his home to escape Venture, grabbing a costume from the Day of the Dead celebration. He fought Venture and won. Miguel then began fighting crime and the evil corporation Alchemax as Spider-Man. Now that you guys are up to speed with both these characters, let's talk about their abilities. Batman Beyond is an able street fighter along with training he's received from Bruce. He's also become extremely proficient in hand-to-hand combat, but not to the high levels of Bruce's other surrogate sons and former Robins, Tim Drake and Dick Grayson, let alone Bruce himself. Terry's fighting style is also different from the original Batman. He's somewhat less dependent on the formal fighting styles Bruce has used and is willing to use dirty tricks if necessary. Terry has beaten enemies much stronger with greater numbers because of his age and training. Terry is also in brilliant human condition and has shown to be a good gymnast. Because of his father, he has high intellect. Terry is also trained to be a detective by Bruce and has learned to mix chemicals and herbs as healing agents and medicine for him. He also possesses some talents that Bruce didn't have. The upgraded batsuit he wears gives him the ability to fly with thrusters built into his boots and 2 retractable gliders he has under his arms. The batsuit also increases the wearer's strength by 10 times and gives him increased agility, speed, and reflexes. It has night vision and a personal communicator, which allows Terry to keep in contact with Bruce in the Batcave. Dispensable batarangs with a range of auxiliary functions such as explosive batarangs, electric shock batarangs, energy net batarangs, and so on. The suit is also able to withstand extreme heat and cold, high voltages of electricity, water pressure, vibrations, radiation, and so on and so forth. But I think you guys get the point, right? Right. As for Spidey of the Future, or Spider-Man 2099, his powers are similar to the traditional Spider-Man. He has superhuman strength, agility, durability, speed, reflexes, and eyesight. His healing abilities are also heightened, but he doesn't have a healing factor. He has spinnerets that are in his forearms that allow him to shoot organic webbing out of his wrist, unlike the normal Spider-Man. Unless you're Sam Raimi and you give Spider-Man organic webbing anyway because he's the director and he can pretty much do whatever he wants, even though we all wanted web shooters like he has in the comics, but at least Mark Webb corrected that mistake in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man 2099 also has retractable talons that come out of his fingers and toes that allows him to climb up any surface. He uses them offensively and they can cut and grab most objects, but were ineffective against Thanatos' armor. He also has fangs that secrete poison if he bites someone. The poison of these fangs can paralyze his victims. The poison has been shown to be so powerful it even affected the Submariner. Miguel has also a genius level intelligence and is especially gifted in genetics. He doesn't have the spider sense like Peter Parker Spider-Man does, but he does make up for it with all his enhanced senses. He doesn't web sling as much as Spider-Man either, but is able to travel as fast as the original Spider-Man by instead using a web cape for gliding. His costume is indestructible, composed of unstable molecule fabric, which allows him free use of his talons without risk of damaging his suit. Those are their strengths and abilities, but let's talk about their weaknesses. Batman Beyond's, or Terry Mcginnis' weaknesses, is he's been known to act rash, which has landed him in some trouble, although he's grown to overcome it. He also sometimes relies too much on his batsuit, which increases his strength 10 times, thus sometimes makes him complacent in the midst of danger. And he has no actual superpowers, which some might say is a disadvantage. As for Spider-Man 2099 or Miguel's weaknesses, his eyes are extremely light sensitive. He also can't retract his fangs, so he had to learn to talk in a way to hide his fangs, making communication quite difficult. He also is not an expert martial artist, but more of a brawler. Due to his abilities though, it works for him, but not always. So now with all that info in your heads, people who've been watching the show for a while now know exactly what to do next. But if you're new to the show, first off, I'd like to say, hi, hope you're enjoying the show. And second, head over to our Variant Facebook page, which I will give a link for at the end of the episode to cast your vote on a poll we posted there on who would win in a fight, Batman Beyond or Spider-Man 2099. And I'll announce the winner you guys decided on next week's episode. Do you want to improve your brain performance and live a better life? Sounds intimidating, right? But any brain can get better, and Lumosity makes it easy and fun with games based on neuroscience. Lumosity is like our personal training for your brain that lets you build your own customized training program and enhance your memory and attention. Plus, get detailed training summaries and stats to keep track of your progress and see where you need to improve. Over 40 million users have already experienced Lumosity's breakthrough brain training. What are you waiting for? Start training with Lumosity right now and discover what your brain can do. Check out lumosity.com/variant to get to instant access. First up for Wednesday, August 14th, we have Uncanny X-Men issue 10. S.H.I.E.L.D. has a new agent and she's a fan-favorite mutant. Also, Cyclops loses his full control of his powers on the streets of Los Angeles. Here we have Infinity issue 1. This is an oversized kickoff to the year's most anticipated Marvel event that promises to change the way you view the Marvel Universe. The outbreak of war on two fronts, Earth and space, with our heroes torn between them. Plus the return of one of Marvel's best villains, Thanos. Now we have Ghosted Issue 2. This comic is about a criminal mastermind who is pulled out of jail by a filthy rich collector who tells him to put together an elite team to do the impossible, steal a ghost from a haunted house. The concept, I think, of this comic is great. Definitely looks like a promising title. Next, we have Saga Issue 13. All you have to do is buy volume 1 and 2 of the Saga trade paperbacks that collected the first 12 issues of this series, and then you could be all caught up and start reading monthly with issue 13. Here we have Nightwing issue 23, a city under siege as the pranksters' attacks take over Chicago. Can Nightwing find the madman before he kills again? And just what is Prankster's endgame? Here we have Justice League of America issue 7. It's Trinity War chapter 4. The hunt for the murder suspects leads Superman and his new teammates to the secret behind the secret society. And finally, we have Batman issue 23. Witness the moment Bruce Wayne becomes Batman as Zero Year makes history. And in the backup story, a young Bruce Wayne fights for his life in a death match in Russia. And yet another episode of Variant comes to a close, but do not be dismayed, friends. I'll be back next week, but until then, remember to head over to our Variant Facebook page to vote on who you think would win in a fight, Batman Beyond or Spider-Man 2099. I'll announce who you guys chose as the victor at the end of next week's episode. And you can also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. But that is really it for today, and I'll see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. See, do you want to improve your brain performance? One last bowl of cereal. I'm your host, Arris. I went like this. I'm your host. Because I want to go like this, and it came out like this. I don't know.